Kia ora, I'm Tony Gilbert, Sales Director at New Era Technology. I'm joined by the amazing Michael Askew, our Solutions Architect here. And we're going to talk to you today about Microsoft Teams Voice and HP. These are key critical partnerships in helping make things better for you at your school. Now, Michael, things have changed a bit in the telecommunications industry in New Zealand in the last wee while. What's going on?
In the last few years, the telecommunications industry has sort of adapted and moved towards using fibre across the network, and a lot of schools in New Zealand are using this at the moment. And so because of this, it has pushed a shift in terms of the telecommunications within schools, and instead of using copper lines, we're sort of moving more towards VoIP solutions, and this is where we're hitting the mark with HP and our Microsoft Teams solution.
So, Michael, one of the things that may worry people is that you've got to rip out a whole lot of stuff and put a whole lot of new stuff in. Can they utilise some of the things that they've done already to implement a solution like this?
Absolutely. So they can use a lot of their existing handsets that they might have already. The great part about the Teams solution is that it's mostly software driven. And so as long as you have a computer, a mobile device, or even Chromebooks, I guess, you're able to utilize that Microsoft Teams solution, and it becomes a highly available solution across the board.
So there's obviously lots of schools in New Zealand that are using the Microsoft tools pretty effectively at the moment. How does integrating a solution like voice make that even easier?
So the Microsoft Teams solution integrates with every other part of the Microsoft suite. And so when you start using things like Outlook and SharePoint, you can seamlessly communicate with others and collaboratively work on documents together, as well as, picking up the phone and dialing and getting a hold of someone instantly.
I suppose that's always been a big thing in the past, isn't it? People have had their handsets and their phones, and then they've had their computer to work on. So essentially this is integrating the two, where you can call an 0800 number, you can call a parent, you can call someone in the community directly from your laptop as well. How have people found making that change?
It was a little bit interesting at first. It takes a tiny bit of training, but once you really get into the solution and you probably used it for about half an hour, it becomes really easy. Teachers are able to contact parents, no worries. Your number can also be hidden, so you're not accidentally giving out your number to the parents and whatnot. And we find that given a little bit of time, people are just picking it up and taking it even further.
Right, so there's a lot of innovation. Essentially, you're kind of building a base platform for working out how you're going to use it effectively and what you're trying to achieve in your school. Would that be right?
Absolutely. Especially during the COVID lockdown times, it's really shown its innovation, being able to pick up your extension and just take it home. Moving between workplaces and the home office has never been easier.
Michael, let's talk about HP devices. Obviously, in your role as a solutions architect, one of the things is not only are you offering software solutions, but you need to provide the right hardware for them to work on. Why is HP such a logical and strong partner for a product such as this?
We find HP products to be very reliable. The support behind it is great. Next business day means next business day. When you have the confidence in your solution, why would you look to do anything else?
Now, a lot of people will be wondering in terms of voice, does that mean that I get rid of my traditional phone? Does it mean I now have to work on a headset? Or some people actually asking the question, can I work from a headset now because that phone is just taking up room I don't need anymore?
That's the great thing. It really depends on your personal choice and how you like to operate and how you like to work. And so some people do like to just have the headset and they take it around with their laptop. There's lots of Bluetooth options, so you don't even have to be tethered to your device. You can have the traditional handset, and we generally do recommend you have a few here and there. You never know these days. Everyone pretty much has cell phones, but you want to tick that health and safety box and make sure you can dial those emergency numbers when required.
It's a great thing you've mentioned there, Michael, as well, because of course you can use your current phone as well if you wanted to.
Absolutely, yeah. You can download the app from the App Store or the Play Store, and it's very user-friendly when you open it for the first time. You can follow the instructions, you log in, it will automatically provision your device, and away you go. It's really simple, and it really brings down the headache on the IT department.
A lot of people are familiar with OneNote, a lot of people are familiar with channels or SharePoint as you've mentioned. how does Teams bring all this stuff together?
So Teams does this really well by providing a one-stop shop, one platform where you can access everything you'd ever need to. You have your teams that are set up with all your, members of each team that you work with on a daily basis, or even ad hoc if you really need to. You will find all of your resources within that team, and so you'll have your things like your files, you'll have your collaborative chats, shared documents, your OneNotes. All of that stuff is all just in one place, easy to find. And we find that it really helps teams when they come to share resources and work on projects, and just generally keeping up that communication between everything, everyday life.
Because communication has changed so much, hasn't it? It was traditionally picking up the phone, obviously texting and information, but now obviously with Teams voice calling, you're integrating chats, you're integrating traditional internal phone calls, video conferencing and external phone calls as well, all things which make it a lot easier and more streamlined in the way that you're working. And this is powerful because people are time poor. There's a lot of things going on, an important focus for our educators. So using Teams voice calling and the great hardware it sits upon in terms of that HP equipment allows people to really be able to focus upon that core stuff. And that's pretty powerful, isn't it? Michael, in terms of change, it can be hard. There's a lot of fear that can be involved in moving from what was traditionally a copper lines and handsets. What's your experience been in terms of that transition and working with schools to move to Teams voice calling?
So far, a lot of the projects we've done has been, I have to be honest, they've been a little bit apprehensive at the start. But once they've made it through and they're on the other side and they have the handset, or even no handset, and they really realize the tool that they're working with and how easy it is to change from your traditional analog phone to the HP voice solution and Microsoft Teams, they find that it's actually a lot easier, a lot simpler. There's a sigh of relief at the end of it. It's all done, and they realize they still have the core functionality that they had before. They can make the phone calls, plus much more.
One of the big indications that we've always had around the move in these projects is how fast they forget what things used to be like. And certainly in my experience, when we've seen schools move from a traditional solution through to Teams voice calling, they never look back, and how quickly they forget how limited things used to be. The other big factor around this is that schools can save money, isn't that right, Michael?
Yeah, absolutely. We find that a lot of the other providers out there are charging for a lot of things that you really don't need. There's a lot of packages that kind of rope schools in. They're selling packages for minutes and stuff that are not used over the holidays. We only charge for what you use. And we don't add on anything extra that you don't need.
The great other part of this too, Michael, is that with the Te Mana Te Hono project and the SNUP projects and WSNUP projects that schools in New Zealand will be very familiar with, those switches and lines that are being put into schools and within schools are able to be utilised directly for the solution, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. With the Te Mana Te Hono program, a lot of the schools have adopted PoE switching, which is required for this solution, and it makes it really easy. There's no power cables at your desk. Everything is powered via Ethernet, which really simplifies the solution. And we also get to rely on Network for Learning's internet connection, which is provided to schools. So we leverage that. It's another cost that schools don't need to pay for.
I hear the Ministry of Education have supported the use of Teams voice calling through the availability of the A5 plan recently announced.
As of the start of 2022, the Teams voice solution licensing will be free to schools. This is subsidised by the Ministry of Education, and it's saving a lot of schools money and really taking away the barriers that schools were finding when they were wanting to move towards the Teams voice solution.
So, Michael, this has become a priority for the school. They know they need to do something. What's the next step?
So the next step is you get in touch with the team at New Era. We will come out on site or meet with you virtually, and we would essentially look to audit the school and find out what are your needs and what are you trying to achieve. And then from there, we will provide you the correct solution at the right price point.
Because New Era Technology is the largest ICT support provider across the country, we are very familiar with the implementation and change process that is involved in implementing Microsoft Teams calling. Give us a call, come and have a chat. We can allay those fears and we can get on with it, make things a bit better and hopefully a bit cheaper.